welcome to this edition of Digg Into Books. I'm your host, Cece Foster. Join me as we travel from city to city, showcasing book clubs all across America. Today, we are here in sunny Los Angeles, and we'll be meeting the lovely ladies of Sisters with Books as they dig into Winch by Dolene Perkins Valdez. Are you ready to meet them? I sure am. Let's dig in.
We're sisters with books, not sisters who cook. Thank you.
Gloria and I usually come together and we were bringing the catfish, and then we decided, well, you know, we're not using any imagination, so we'll do something different. And then when we came and they found out we didn't have the catfish, they were really hostile. So after that, I don't come without doing the catfish, because my sisters, who I'm pretty sure love me.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't see it when I don't have the fish.
Today, we're sitting with the lovely ladies of Sisters with Books. I'm so excited to be here. You ladies are all excited, and it's such a big group of women. I'm like, oh my gosh, so many of them, but all the better. So, Sisters with Books has been around since 1991. Do I have my math correct, ladies? 1991.
91, 92.
Give or take a little bit, but they've been around a long time, and they're a great group of women who get together once a month.
We need an escape on Friday nights from our children. That's how we started the book club. The husbands used to babysit for us. So whoever, the thing was, you could not bring your child to book circle.
Okay, so how do you pick your members then? What's the process?
We're a book circle with no rules.
Just show up?
You're a son.
Oh, do I have to know somebody to get in?
Well, it helps.
We don't vote on and
read. No.
Yes.
People who read, and we've been trying to keep it at reading Black women authors.
Okay.
We sway a little bit, but I think all of us read everything.
Yeah.
But this is our spot to read Black women authors.
Cool.
I think at the end of the month when we come together, we haven't seen each other for a while, so it's a time to catch up, and we do our little sidebars, we have our food, and then we remember that we're here to read a book. But we're serious about reading the book, but you know, it's a good time for us to fellowship together and just enjoy each other's company.
This has been my therapy group. They've taken me through divorce, through teenagers, through everything, and without these ladies, I don't think I'd be the person I am today, because they are very instrumental in my growth and development as a person.
It has been a journey of growth, a journey of just maturity, of discovering what womanhood means to many of us, marriages, how our relationships work.
Menopause.
I still have the placard on my refrigerator that Deborah made about 2 years ago. And it's a magnet, and it says, "Who needs therapy as long as you have sisters with books?" I keep that on my refrigerator, so it's there every day above our picture. And I get free therapy that way.
There's a lot of
Just keep it all in perspective. It tells the story of a woman who had been enslaved. And I never like to use the term slave, because if you're a slave, you should be enslaved. The crime is yours. If you're enslaved, the crime is that of the person who enslaved you. It tells of a time where the enslavers took the women who were enslaved out of the South, took them to a resort in Ohio, and they were allowed to be in this somewhat integrated environment because it wasn't in the South. But they were treated as wenches. They were not there to interact with the non-Black guests. They were at the will and mercy of the white men who enslaved them. And it tells the story actually of women who bonded as we do. And it was phenomenal.
The word wench is described at the beginning of the book. They give different dictionary definitions. In 1290, it was a girl, maid, young woman, a female child. In 1362, it was a wanton woman, a mistress. In 1812 and 1832, it's described as a black or colored female servant, a negress. By 1848, it was a colored woman of any age, a negress or mulatress, especially one in service. And in 1848 is when the story takes place, right before the Civil War.
Tell me about Lizzie. Lizzie was one of the main characters, and her master was Drell. What do you think about their relationship, Lizzie and Drell?
You know, that relationship for me, I thought was extremely interesting because it was a different type of story of slavery than I think we've read, at least recently, because you could really think about that relationship almost as a love story. Mm-hmm. I mean, did she really love Drell? And did he really love her? Because he did treat her when they were on these resort trips as a woman. She still was a slave, but there were instances where she was able to dress up and go to dinner with her master, and he actually treated her as a lady would want to be treated if she were going out on a date or having dinner out.
But I don't know if I take that.
Okay, Gloria.
I think you got that
But
one.
Drell was a child molester.
Yes,
Right.
yeah,
Basically.
yeah.
He began
When he began his relationship with her
seducing her
at 13.
and when she was 13 years old.
Well, I don't know if you would consider that a child molester, because during that time frame, it was not unusual for women to be married by the time they were 15. I mean, women were considered adults, and women as soon as they were out of puberty.
He was taken down to that broom closet, kind of, just kind of plying her. But, well, basically, I guess you would say building a relationship before he actually.
He was courting her.
Yeah,
Well,
in the broom closet.
So it's not like he didn't force himself on her immediately.
How can you court in the closet?
Well,
As opposed to a master-slave relationship, and I guess not in the love sense, I guess, as we know it today, but as it relates to a master-slave relationship, I mean, he didn't force himself on her. He sort of seduced her.
He
took time to
He took time, sort of.
But he could take time. She belonged to him.
Yes.
So is the relationship love? Did she love him? Did he love her?
Many times in the story, she says that she loves him. And in some cases, she doesn't tell the other slaves, the other enslaved folks, that she loves him, because she thinks they will not appreciate that. That she is in love with her master.
Yeah.
But he did. He treated her in his home. He put her in the bedroom across from his wife's bedroom.
Yeah.
See, I slept with her.
And slept with her every night.
Yeah.
So he did kind of raise her to a different status than the average person would have received, and she did get a lot of different treatments. And so I do think she loved him. I don't know that he really truly loved her.
When I read the book, I was kind of like, I was angry at some points and stuff, and I just wanted to know how you feel as a black woman. How can you relate, if you can relate, to any aspects of the book, and how did it make you feel reading the book overall? Were you angry?
It was at a point I almost didn't like Lizzie.
Okay.
Yes.
Because Lizzie, you know, she was so subservient to him, and she was a tattletale.
Yes.
She, you know, she thought she was doing the right thing, and as I was reading, I said, I don't believe this. She's going to tell.
Okay, is there a character in the book that, one of them at least, that you can kind of relate to on an emotional level?
One woman I liked in this story, because I'm sort of a romantic, was Philip's wife. Philip was owned by Drell, but this woman, who was the daughter of a barber, she was a free woman, fell in love with an enslaved man. Mm-hmm. And the fact that she knew she was jeopardizing his life, because if he was going to leave his enslaved life to go with her, which meant death. Mm-hmm. And I loved her if he was caught, and the fact that she stuck through it. Mm-hmm. So I loved her character. But
that speaks volume of how we stand by our men.
Yes.
How we're supportive of our men.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think that speaks volumes of that.
Yeah, even back then, how, you know, you feel some sort of attachment, emotionally attached to men, even though the relationship may not be the best, you know, situation for you, but it's that emotional tie that keeps women there.
You can't choose who you're going to fall in love with.
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
Right. And it happens.
Yeah, just like,
because she took a man that didn't have a job.
The thing that I keep in mind when I read, there go I but for the grace of God, and these are the backs that we stand on. They survive. They have to survive. And these are the backs we stand on.
These are our stories. These are our great-great-great-grandmothers, and that's, like you said, that's why we're here today, in all our incarnations, and you know,
absolutely,
because of women like this. And so and it also gives the four different women, it just humanizes the situation, that because they had regular emotions. I mean, what would I do in this situation? Or but it just makes you think more of the women that had to endure this period of time. You know, they were born in this time and space.
I could identify with almost all of the women in the book. I kind of, for me personally, it was like a lot of the scenes were hard to read with the rape and things. My mother is a survivor of some rape, as well as my grandmother. So it brought back, I was kind of reading it, I was like, oh goodness, but you know, so it brought back like memories of how she told me things that happened with her life. And you know, because growing up, my mom was always very protective of us. We couldn't spend a night over anybody's house because, you know, at the time she didn't tell us why she was so protective over us. And as I got older, you know, she talked to us and told us about what happened to her in the past and why she was the way she was. So as I got older, I understood where she was coming from with that. But reading it, it kind of felt like I was reliving, even though I wasn't there, I was reliving my mom's and my grandmother's experiences with, absolutely. And, you know, feeling less than human, and then having, you know, as a woman, for someone to do this to you as, you know, 13. She started when she was 13, and it just kept going on and on until he actually died.
Just like Lizzie.
Right.
Yeah, so, oh God, it was like reading that, I was just like, wow, this is really heavy.
Now it's officially part of
I was just going to say, when we were saying earlier, Cece, about reading, so, okay, so let's say you just read this book on your own.
Yeah.
You would never have been able to express that.
Or share it with someone,
and share it with someone
who cares.
And so now we know something about you that, I don't know, just bonds us into that.
Yeah.
So ladies, after reading the book, what did you walk away with? Like general.
One thing that I really got out of the book is the companionship with the women and how they got strength from each other, and they were very much like circle, our sisters with books.
That was so powerful in this book that, you know, oftentimes you meet women and you know that there's a connection, you know, a sister connection that you can't explain, but you know it's kind of there. I'm sure everyone's felt it. So and
I felt it when I joined this group.
Maou. I identified with her.
Okay.
The free spirit. She knew who she was. You know, even though she was enslaved, she had that free spirit. She had that power from within. And I think that transcends today, that power that we possessed. It's an attitude, it's a confidence, and you can see it and you can feel it.
Well, as far as women were looked at to be standing behind the man, I know now it's okay to be that strong woman that stands beside your man.
I think we have made strides because we're more visible. You see us. We're not so much in the background or, you know, behind the man.
Right.
It's okay not to have a man.
Right.
It's okay to be a single parent.
Right.
It's okay to hold an office and to be the main breadwinner and to be in corporate America, and it's okay. And so for that aspect, we've made tremendous strides, but not far enough.
You know, when we sit amongst each other, we feel like we've come a long way. But then when we go out in the community and we run into women that are struggling, that don't have the support that we have, then you understand that not everybody, you know, has had the opportunities that we've had. And like I said all along, we've been a strength to each other over these years. I've been in this book club for 15 years, and this is a strength for me.
We have power. We are powerful, and powerful now. And then I could see, you know, as a group of women, how powerful we are. And those women back there, they didn't realize their power.
Right.
They did not realize how powerful they were. And I think that's the case. A lot of women do not realize how powerful they are.
But is that, and then that perhaps goes to another question about, well, why don't women know or girls know? Do we not have the role models? Do we not have just the information that, oh, this means power? If I educate myself, if I have this knowledge, then that translates into power. People don't know that. I think that a young woman can get a lot out of this book, but I'm sad to say that a lot of young women don't read. I have a daughter in her 20s who's intelligent, college educated, has a great job and everything, and I get the paper a few times a week, the newspaper, and she never reads it. I said, well, why don't you want to be in business? Read the business section. No, I get my information by watching the news and reading the blurbs on the bottom. You know, and our house is full of books. She was read to as a youngster, but I would love for her to read this book and a whole bunch of other books to just get the information and the knowledge and understand that it's not all about you. You know, you didn't get here by accident. You know, you don't have the things you have by accident.
You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you came from. And so having that history captured, even though it's quote unquote fictional, it is based on historical facts. And knowing and understanding that history is just an important thing that every young woman and every young person should have.
And it is important for us to understand we have a responsibility to our youth and our women and our boys as well, to bring them along and give them those things. We've got to do that.
I just think it's important to keep a dialogue going with our children, with our young people. You know, sometimes we think they're not listening, and it may seep in. They may get a twinkle, and it's amazing how maybe you said something 2-3 years ago, and they'll come back and say, you remember when? So it's important to keep the dialogue going, because they may get it through osmosis. But just keep talking, keep sharing, keep letting them know what this history is, what the book. Don't stop talking. Don't stop talking. Keep talking.
This particular book that we read is the first and only book that I've read describing this life situation.
Yeah.
So the different times, the different places, it's enriching. It's not always pleasant either. There are some books that are terribly painful, but it's just a phenomenal experience. I have to have a book.
I really enjoy hanging out with Sisters with Books. Those ladies are so well educated and inspired. You tell me, did you dig it? Send your thoughts of today's show to diggintobooks.com and tune in next time as we showcase yet another exciting book club. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching Dig Into Books with CC Foster, keeping literature alive, one book club at a time.
But a lot of book circles now are opening their doors to a few men. Would you ever consider that?
No.
Just never?
No. One time we did, I think when we read, was it Waiting to Exhale? We wanted to ask, some of our male counterparts to come, but they all chickened out. Just for that one.
The only male we'll really, really, really want is Denzel Washington. He's our #1 cast. We cast our books. We cast our books.
You cast your books at the end of every kind of say who would play this role.
Right. If it was
Denzel 30 years ago, Denzel today.
Right, and just for the record, Denzel can play any part. All right, so Helen, they're nominating you here as the
You're the most energetic,
outgoing one in the room. How does that make you feel?
I'm touched. I'm touched. But I look forward to the book club every month. And like Frida says, you just clear that last Friday. It has to be something of utter importance, like death. Not go to book circle. It's just a given.